right. So if we're going to get deals done, it's important that we know how to talk to sellers, right? So I could have easily turned this into a simple Q&A, but what I thought was, wait a minute, we're not going to get these types of deals that you've seen on the deal structure and get you to just harvest deals regularly until you get super confident in skill sets set up to talk to sellers and talk to them with excitement, and talk to them with energy, and talk to them with confidence. Because a lot of times it's what you say, not how. It's how you say what you say, not what you say. So what I wanted to do is take a glimpse of this one of many high six calls that Brian O'Neill and I coach. We together coach our high six level. And this is a live call. Like, this is just a weekly high six call, which is one of our highest level associates that we have. And hear what questions came out, real life, and how we handled some script questions and how we deal with, or we suggest they deal with tough sellers. Enjoy this deal structure Sunday. A little different for you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the house is worth 365. He owes 345. Someone offered him 30,000 to walk away, but he didn't want to do it. Someone else offered 30,000 to walk away, but he didn't want to do it because the loan would have to stay in place. And so I just kind of took the information. I said, yeah, what we do is kind of similar to that. But then I just said, let me kind of think about it and get back to you. So I wasn't sure. I mean, I think you're going to say he's just not desperate enough or something, but is
what? Everybody here, I want everybody to participate in this one. This isn't just me. My question is, why is he selling? Like, back to the basics. Why is he selling? Where's he going? By when?
I don't have that right here in front of me.
I do. I just critiqued that call. That was the guy, the same guy. Yeah, I gave you my critiques. That's the guy who is trying to move closer to his job and he's having a baby with somebody else.
Yeah, something. Yeah. That's it. Yep.
Can't make this up.
I can't. He's not motivated enough. I can't hear it. So you got to you got to dig deeper. I critiqued that call.
Okay.
I didn't know that was the guy who said, now, hold on a second. Is that does he owe that much? Because I didn't hear the price, or did you just get that?
Well, right. He owes 345. Comps roughly, I'm saying 365. So there's a little equity there.
Yeah, because he said his house was over. He said, beginning of the call, my house is overpriced. That's why I took it off the market.
Right.
And we don't know why in that call, Brian, he's selling at all. Like, there's no motivation.
Oh, well, the motivation is he wants to be next to he wants to live closer to his job, and his girlfriend who's having a baby wants to be.
It's his baby, though, right? To clarify,
his baby. Yeah. Just to be clear. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, Brian. Is there anything else to discuss then? I mean,
Yeah, Paul, what I told you in the critique was put his information in my Freedom Soft and I will call him.
Got it. Okay.
He had some concerns about the loan being in place and staying in his name. And again, I gave you the critiques, but you have to understand what is he going to stay in the house? Like, what if you don't sell it? What are you going to do? What's your backup? That's what you didn't ask him. And that is going to tell you whether or not he's what means more to him, being close to his job and his child, or having the debt in his name, because he can't have both from you.
Okay,
guys, Brian, I feel like we got to hammer this where you going by when still then, where you going by when, and what if it doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I critiqued a bunch of calls this morning. One was Sean's, and Sean's isn't like super confident and awesome on the phone, but he didn't ask that basic question. Just think through logically, guys. Remember, if there's any questions, let's bat this around again, the script, because first thing I said and first thing Brian said was the same. Where's he going? What by when, and what if it doesn't happen? So you know where he's going, where he wants to go, but what if he doesn't sell, right? Brian, that was your key point.
Always.
Like, it tells you everything. Well, if it doesn't happen, I'll stay here. If she'll move in with me. Okay, no motivation. If it doesn't happen, I'm just going to rent it. Okay, now I got something to talk about.
Okay, I tend to kind of assume. I think I inferred that, but I didn't make him verbalize it. So
if you guys forget that while you're talking, I do this with anything new I'm trying to learn. Put it wherever you're calling. I use dial pad now, so it's on my computer, but wherever you're calling, put those 3 questions in front of you. You can't get off the phone without those. And if they blab, you got to bring them back to it. I don't know if anyone heard my AO call, speaking of blab, but you just got to like either end it or bring them back to where you want to be. Is this making sense?
Yeah, where, when, what? Okay.
Why, when, where?
Oh, why?
Yeah, why? Hey,
when-
remember Brian told you guys this before about talking to your neighbor? Hey, why are you selling? Curious. Oh, cool. Where are you going? All right. What if it doesn't sell? What are you gonna do? Like, these are just questions you'd ask your friend. Instead of trying to educate.
I critiqued that this morning, Paul. So
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, first of all, I should have said this first. Great job sending the call in, right? I mean, that's the first. Great job. When we're batting it about, but you did it. You sent it in. Good job.
I just wanted to make a comment on that. So I
Yeah.
feel like that sometimes I need to, because it's these questions are questions you'd ask your friend. I feel like you have to get to the point where you're having a friendly conversation more than, I feel like you have to get past the, the fact that you're interested in the house and whatever. Like it has to be a friendly conversation to get there. And that's why sometimes I struggle a little bit getting there, especially if they're a little like standoffish. If it's a flowing conversation, I feel like it's easier to ask these questions. But sometimes when they're very standoffish, like they're not looking to get to that friendly place, sometimes they're hesitant to give you that information. I don't know if everybody feels that way, or is that just me?
No, absolutely.
Sure.
Comments, Mr. Brian?
I don't feel that way. Ever. So, and I can see why you would feel that way. Now, there's a point in the conversation where you just have to draw the line with the seller, right? And just either end the call or depending on where the call's going, it doesn't sound like you want to sell. I may not be your buyer. This may not work for you. Like, you don't have to solve it all on call number 1. I critiqued the call for Wendy earlier, and I just told her, I said, you just got to tell the seller exactly what it is that you can do for her. Like, this is how I can help you. You don't have to accept it, but this is how I can solve your problem. This lady's moving overseas 5 years for 5 years at the end of July. And Wendy asked her, hey, what are you going to do if it doesn't sell? She's like, I don't even want to think about that. I said, that's in a month. She's got to go. She's going to do with the house. I said, sometimes you just got to be direct with sellers, and then they'll tell you whether or not they need you. Versus, why would you spend 10 to 15 minutes trying to make friends with somebody, which is almost impossible to do, by the way. They're not going to warm up to you that quickly.
I was just thinking that, Brian, that Morris, your goal is not to make friends with them.
No, I'm not saying a 10, 15-minute conversation to get friendly. I'm talking about just, there has to be like in the first 2 minutes,
Okay.
you almost feel like, no, maybe I'm
Let me
wrong.
offer this, Morris, because I've heard so many calls, and I should hear more, by the way. Brian and I should hear more of your calls because we can help you a little faster, right? And that's a given, especially because you're in Chairman's. From your calls, I know what you're saying. These guys don't have the advantage of hearing your calls, right? But a lot of your people can be blunt, and which I love. But so you feel like you got to soften that to get to that point. You got to take like it's you're in control. So you gotta just cut to the chase. So like Brian was saying, like, well, listen, let me ask you, do you want to sell or not? Like you have to mirror match them. That's my opinion. I've heard a lot of your calls. You can't take like, oh, okay, and take the passive route. You got to take is this making sense?
Yes.
But get us more calls so we can do that. And then, so I don't forget, when Brian calls Paul's back, we could post that and everybody can hear from this group.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Morris, because I mean, Brian, you're a machine. I mean, you're just awesome. One day, I hope to be like you. But like I just listened to a call from my VA, and the guy answered, I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. You did not come up and visit me when you said you were. And this guy was an absolutely jerk. He managed very well, but sometimes you have these people that are so frustrated because they get so many calls from investors, and so they start standoffish. And I, just like Morris, I understand, to get through that and stay leveled and ask those questions. It is kind of tough, and I do struggle with that too, even though I feel I am getting better. But just kind of want to interject that.
On the person that got aggressive, without hearing the call, if someone's extremely off-putting, I just call them in 30 days like I never talked to them because they probably had a bad moment and their husband burnt their toast and you just happen to call. Like I literally act like I didn't call 30 days later. I also think this, so everybody knows, if someone's that like aggressive or rude, if they are, know this, every other investor's not calling them again. They're afraid to. That's my opinion. I like when I hear that, I go, great. In 30 or 45 days, I'm calling like nothing happened. Nobody else is calling.
Yeah, he actually softened up a little bit at the call. I mean, I think RVA did a reasonably okay job on that. John actually called him yesterday, and it was like a 2-minute call, and it was like, no, I'm not interested in that at all. So we'll just follow up. We'll just, nurture and see if he doesn't sell, then we're just going to follow up again.
Comments, others who are on the phone?
I was kind of along the same lines. I was a little off put by the people who are really giving you a hard time. But they're just frustrated because they've had too many people to talk to. They've heard the same questions and all that kind of stuff. So basically, I love what you just said. You're right. Nobody else is going to want to call them again, but we will.
Brian, you got something on the tip of your tongue. It looks like I usually know when you do.
Yep, I do.
Go ahead.
A couple of things. Corolla, I'm only this way because I've got the reps in, right? And by the way, I this is how I live my life. Like I'm direct with everybody. Okay, it's not just sellers. It's just how I live. There's a script for everything, right? So if we were talking about this, I did a starter call last night for Steve, and this same topic came up about how sellers you're like the umpteenth person that's called me regarding that. And you just think of how you could turn it to a positive. When sellers say it to me, I say, yeah, that's not going to stop. Like realtors are calling me. I'm like, they're going to continue to call you. They want to list your house. So you should get used to it. Like as a FSBO, like a FSBOs are saying that. You're like the 20th person. I said, yeah, if it's terms, you're like the umpteenth person that's called me. Yeah, it's not going to stop. It's very popular right now because people can't qualify for loans. 17% of people can qualify for loans. I can help you right now make that stop. You got 5 minutes to talk and then go into it. So just turn it into a positive. No one else is saying that to them. All the other investors are just trying to lowball them, wholesale deals. Hey, look, you just tell them this is not going to stop because of this, because of the interest.
I like the other piece you said. I can get that to stop if you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Guys, they're not getting a million calls from people like you. Trust me, they're not.
No. If it's two, it's too many.
Yep. So you got to educate them. Mr.
Mike.
Rick, any comment? Oh, Pete, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just thinking, well, what did they expect? If they're going to post their property online and they want to sell, then what did they expect? I mean, really, I have no trouble letting them know that.
Me too.
You're going to get calls. So just, I think they may get agitated, but that's on them, really. That's their problem.
Brian's comment and your comment could be turned into a question and combined. Are you looking to sell or not? I can get it to stop.
Yeah, I leverage the accreditation. If they say I've gotten a lot of calls, I'll say how many of them are accredited because we're one of the few that are.
That's a stopper too, as much as Brian's is, because they don't even know what you're talking about.
Yep.
You guys get that? That's huge. And not many of us in the community are using it.
How did you say it?
Go ahead, Rick.
I just ask them, I understand a lot of people are calling, but are they accredited? Because not many people are, and we happen to be one of the few that are.
Okay.
I've heard at many of Rick's calls, guys. I know I've said this before, but it works. It's worked for him. Why not use it? It's like the form letter thing that Brian and I discovered hardly anyone's using. The Sophia should be used, and it's not being used. Anything else on this scripting? We went down this road. This is important to get you guys more comfortable on the phone. By the way, on this note, this is exactly appropriate. So let me say this and we can pivot if you want after this. And if you don't have any questions. I was on a show yesterday. The guy's been in business for a long, long time in Phoenix. He's got a coaching business too. But we started talking about confidence on the phone. And he said 100%. He actually has a Corolla. You always second guess yourself with the accent. We always say to you, you're great. This guy has a very, very thick accent. And he says, I tell you what it is, Chris. It's like when Mark Zuckerberg in his early 20s, get this for a comparison, walked into a room and he's looking to raise $1 billion. It wasn't his script. It was his confidence to get that done. Can you imagine that? When he said it to me, I even went, well, that's kind of cool comparison. He said, it's all how they say it, not what they say. How many times have we said that on these calls? So when someone's being belligerent to you, you take the Pete or you take the Brian stance and you just stop it right in its tracks. You don't back off. They're almost not asking for it. They're asking for the opposite. So I thought that was a great comparison he gave. I could probably turn that into motivational money at some point, but he just told me that last night. I thought it was cool. That makes sense to you guys? Like, it's the confidence, not how, it's what. Sorry, it's not what, it's how. Just resonating?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yes.
How you come across, and that is not always easy.
Okay, so question for all you guys. Let's do a gut check here. When is the last time, I don't care what stage you're at, when's the last time you ran through at least 10 seller calls on the seller call program that you have for free? When's the last time you did it?
2 weeks ago.
Okay, who else? I'm just curious.
Yes, that was about a month ago.
You have time now.
Yes, I do.
Longer than I would like to say.
Morris?
Probably 2 months ago.
Okay. You see where I'm going with this, guys? John?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say I haven't done
Okay.
it.
So I remember like it was yesterday, Brian's first month, calling me on a run. I think it was on a run, Brian, or driving, either one, saying he just had him on his headset or whatever, his AirPods. Listen to the calls ad nauseum.
Can I
Brian,
amend my
I think that's
statement?
right. Pete?
I just want to say that although I haven't done the seller calls in QLS, I do go to the scripts and dialogue in
They're newer.
Slack.
Yeah, they're
And
newer.
so I do listen to those, which
That's
are very
good.
helpful.
That's a good point for John and others that are saying they should do more,
Yeah.
because those are very current.
Right. No, I was listening to those. I listened to everything on Slack. So
Good.
Yep.
Good. The more the better, guys, until you go, I can't wait till that person does that I just heard on that call. Because I listened to that call 17 and a half times, and I know what's going to come out of Chris or Brian, whoever's mouth next that's on that call. That's the point you want to get to. Like a great song, you know, when you know what they're going to say next, it's in your brain. This is what I want you to get to, the seller calls.
I will say also that I do share that with my VA and my partner.
Smart with the VA, super smart. That's another point. Brian, your VAs listen to the seller calls, I'm assuming already, like a bunch of times, just your caller VAs. Yeah.
Yeah, they have. has listened to all of them. She listens to my calls. She listens to hers.
If your VAs aren't at least doing what Pete says he's doing on the channel, it's right there, then you're definitely missing a training moment.
Yeah, Angela listens to, she's gone through all the seller calls and she'll listen to, well, she's done the QLS also.
Great.
And she
Yeah, we
has
had,
order
sorry.
the Slack messages also.
How do you give your VA access? You just give them your login?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We had a meeting with our VA yesterday, and we critique another call, went over some things that we like different, and we directed him to the seller calls and asked him to listen to those.
Right.
So we went over the script again, so we had a really nice productive meeting with him.
Making some good, speaking of flow, Curly, seems like you're making some good progress. I like it.